Yes. All right. Who else did I miss here? Ozzy's sister from Australia. How are you? You're looking lovely tonight. Jenny Metz looking gorgeous as ever. There she is, everyone. All right. Mr. Catfish, good to see you, buddy. Thank you for coming on in. Mary Bone is back in the chat room. Mary Bone, Mary Bone, Mary Bone. All right. She's a vegetarian too, by the way. And, okay. The Sultry Susie is here. I got to scroll way down now again. Jose, the lovely and talented Cosmic Fleur. My gorgeous wrench, Jenny, is here. The beautiful Britt Bennett, everyone. Make sure you give her a wave. She likes a good wave every now and again. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Nicola, how are you, man? Project Blue Book, good to see you. And let's see here. I think we're caught up. Oh, there's Devin. Devin, I almost lost you there. Ibaradov, how are you? Good to see you, man. The lovely and talented Cindy G is here, everyone. She likes a good wave, so make sure you wave to her. Detroit Tay on Twitter and Periscope, thank you for tuning us in. We're going to get going here in about 10 seconds, everyone. Hi, Richard Elmore and Stargate Traveler, welcome. Remember, this is a good way to start the show by hitting that subscribe button, ringing that bell, and the super chat is open. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Oh, it is that time of the month once again where Geraldine Orozco is here for the spiritual you. Geraldine from BayAreaMeditation.com and GeraldineOrozco.com researches the role of DNA as the currency of the past, present, and future, with consciousness as a catalyst. A life-changing contact experience in 2013 really changed her entire life's goals. Regressions uncovered a lifelong history of abduction and participation in the human hybridization program. Today, she helps counsel people to heal themselves, heal what's happening to them, and to understand that there's more to life than just what we know. The lovely and talented Geraldine Orozco, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio. How are you, my friend?
Hi, such a pleasure to be here and so great to connect with everyone in the chat room. Much love to you guys. Thank you for being here.
And this is the first time we actually are doing this on camera for our YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's so much fun. I love it.
I
don't know why we didn't do this before. It's so great to put a face to a name and connect with you guys.
I know. I mean, this is literally like the first time we've seen each other since San Francisco last year. So
yeah, that's right.
Your hair is looking fantastic. I cannot compete with that.
You too. You're looking sharp today.
Well, that's because I'm losing weight. I'm literally, for the last 3 weeks, my breakfast has been a blueberry shake.
Wow.
Protein shake.
Yeah.
And then I'm eating healthy during the day. I've stayed away from junk food. And in fact, my boss at my daytime job, he's been snacking. And I've had to actually, crack down on him. He was always the one pointing his finger at me. And I'm like now, oh, no. You can't be eating that candies there, boss. Can't be doing that. Yes.
That is amazing. The tables are turning. I can't wait to see how healthy and vibrant, and it's going to be amazing, Dave. I'm so excited for you.
Well, you know what? I'm working hard at it, and I'm taking
Yeah,
everything's in stride. I haven't started my workouts yet because I didn't realize how bad I'd got myself out of shape. I really
right.
hadn't. So now
Beautiful.
it's literally about, okay, I got to take my time. All
Yeah.
right, I'm a fat guy. No, literally, I am. I'm obese. And I'm man enough to admit that, but I'm doing something about it. And you know what? In 3 weeks, I have a chin. I have a chin again.
Amazing.
I know. And my clothing is no longer touching my belly.
Wow. Well, I gotta say, I do notice your energy really sharp, really high, very happy. So if I see this as good, this looks like a good change for you.
I think so. And you know what?
Yeah,
I'm enjoying what I'm eating too.
that's amazing. Yeah.
That's the big thing for me. I wasn't sure if I would enjoy what I was eating, but now I really am. So I'm good with it all.
Beautiful.
Every time we have you on, there are new listeners out there that are tuning on in for the first time and may not have heard of you, just like people may not have heard of me. And it's nothing to be insulting about. But for you, this is a journey that is coming up 8 years for you, where you had your first experience that you recalled, and it really changed your entire definition. So, as a reminder for people who may be new to you and those who may be a little bit unfamiliar, how did your journey begin?
Yeah, thanks so much, Dave. So, my journey began, well, I'll just take it back. When I was 5 years old, I had a first experience that I saw light in my room and I had missing time within a small amount of time. And little events like this started to occur throughout my life, which were very strange and we couldn't find any reasons. I started becoming kind of sick every time I had some kind of experiences, some dreams, but I didn't quite put it together. And it wasn't until I started to get into meditation, I started to meditate and I founded Bay Area Meditation, which is a corporate meditation company here in San Francisco Bay Area. And I started to really see the results of meditation in my everyday life. I started to become more successful, emotionally balanced. I began to really notice that it was affecting all areas of my life. And I wanted to share that with the world. So I kind of got into that. I became certified in pranic energy healing, quantum energy healing. I became a qigong master, and all of those things kind of helped me understand what it meant to kind of learn how to activate certain parts of ourselves, like our awareness and presence. But all of those things really didn't really reach the profound understanding that I received in that one night in October in 2013, where I was literally taken out of my bedroom window on board craft. And this is where I was introduced to my hybrid children. I was introduced to alien language, and I was also taken to different areas of the universe, which helped me understand what we are and what our life is here on the earth. So that's where my entire reality changed, and I had to kind of revisit all areas of my prior understanding of what consciousness was, what our education was, what the structures of our realities are, and what they look like, and how we play a role in them. Everything began to change. And although I suppressed it for about a couple years, 5 years actually, until 2017, when I finally decided that it was very important for me to talk about this contact experience, because I started to meet other people that also had experienced that. And my question was, why weren't we talking about it? Why wasn't there someone speaking to the fact that people were having these kinds of anomalous experiences that literally changed and affected their lives? As a result of that experience in 2013, my psychic abilities came online and I began to see the multidimensional body. So it really changed everything. And yeah, go ahead, Dave.
No, I think the way it changed you, what was the biggest change personally that you saw for yourself, internally, externally?
The biggest change for me internally was um, a profound understanding of the value of the human, the value of mankind, and complete destruction of everything that I thought I was supposed to be, the roles I was supposed to play as a woman, as a professional, as a business person, as a sister, as a daughter. All of these roles began to crumble because the entire fabric of reality came into question. And that's where things started to really change.
Did, did
Externally,
did you treat people different, like
oh,
comparatively? Because I noticed for
absolutely.
me, I
Hmm.
was a complete a-hole. I honestly was. And now, if I'm a jerk to someone or I catch myself accidentally being a jerk to someone, I give myself this. I literally go into depression. Like, oh my gosh, did I just hurt that person's feelings and
Right.
all of this kind of stuff? Did you go through that too?
Yeah, in a way, absolutely. You become more aware of yourself and your actions and what they're doing, the cause and effect of everything that you're feeling. And you also become more aware of yourself and the pain and suffering that you feel and why you feel that. You begin to experience compassion for yourself and others and all those experiences. So it really changes the way you look at all living things, everything from an ant. Now I really can't get myself to kill insects. Like, I don't want to, because I respect that life. I know that it plays a role in the balance of everything. And after my contact experience, I experienced that connection to all things. That really changed my life. And I've always been trying to go back to that feeling in meditation, to have this understanding of what unity consciousness really feels, what it looks like, what it means to live that way. It's completely different than conceptualizing. It's different when you're actually living that.
Now, for you, you have become somebody who is a very vital player in the role of consciousness, of spirituality, of ET contact, of everything like that. You've really taken off over the last couple of years. And long, long, long ago, I was your first late night radio interview. Long, long ago. And you and I just hit it off as friends from there. I mean, we're going on 3.5 years here already. And in that 3.5 years, you've become such a vital voice in this community. How have you done that? How have you strived for that success to be that powerful voice?
Yeah, Dave, thanks. I mean, truly, the connection between us has been so important. I think you and I had work to do in this realm at some point. But for me, it was never thinking about success in any way, because my decision to sell my business, to end my engagement, all of those things in 2017 were just focused on a complete surrender to looking for truth, for finding answers and being committed to that. And I really needed to focus. And so when I did that, that's when things started to come into play. You begin to create this symbiotic relationship between yourself and literally the universe, where everything, it begins to kind of work in towards that goal. And when you're completely congruent in alignment with your intention and what really matters, the values, the core values of what you need, everything just comes into play. And I never thought about money. I never thought about success. I never thought about any of that or supporting myself at all. It just came into fruition. I mean, I decided to become certified in hypnotherapy after I got a hypnotherapy myself, to understand, to learn more about what was happening to me in hypnotherapy and how the mind works. I'm always very skeptical about things, so I wanted to understand, the mechanics of the mind, because the mind can be very tricky also. And I wanted to make sure that I was not kidding myself or lying to myself or being dishonest about any of this journey. So I really needed to understand in a very deep way, what this was all about. And I think that's what kind of took it to this place, is that going into the research, meeting other experiencers, talking about it very, very openly, very candidly. To me, I'm an open book, and it's to be of service. Nothing of my journey is secret or is hidden. I'm very happy to share it, because I think that I'm happy to be used as an example in order to understand ourselves as a human race, or at least what we're experiencing.
Don't you feel like a little bit of a guinea pig?
No, not at all, because this is my choice. It's my journey. And the truth is, really, what I've understood is that everyone's journey is very personal. For me, the journey is for me. I share it with other people in order to provide a safe space for other people to share their experiences. And to me, that's the most important. It's cathartic and it's healing, and it helps people integrate when they can feel permission to speak about their story. A lot of people, they've been holding that for years. I mean, 10, 20 years. I held it for 5 years without telling a single person. Well, three people, my parents and my partner at the time. But that was hard. It was hard. It was like living a double life. And I would never wish that on anyone. I would never want someone to live a double life. So if I can provide a safe place like the support group to share, I think it's worth everything. I'm happy to do it.
Out of all the experiences that you have, I know you're very proud of each and every one of them because they have formed who you are as a person and as a leader in this field. Do you regret having any of them? Do you regret that you've gone through the hybridization program or something along those lines?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, I think that what helped me come into this information was my spiritual foundation. I think that the work that I did throughout the past 15 years in order to deprogram matrix programming or limiting beliefs or fear-based programs really allowed me to create a solid foundation where when I come into a state of neutrality, I'm now friends with the unknown. And so when I had my first hypnotherapy and my second hypnotherapy, I mean, I experienced an existential crisis that I had to process really quickly because I was uncovering more and more of an understanding of our historic timeline, of our evolution as a human race. I mean, we were really looking at understanding what it meant to be a hybrid ourselves as humans. What does it mean that we are descended from a draconian race? I really had to understand a new reality. So, what took for me the process was understanding how we become creators. And all of the experience that I had, even the negative experiences with military abductions, were all a part of cause and effect. If I had not gone through those experiences, I would not be able to help people going through them, and I would not be able to speak to that because what are you going to talk about? You have to be able to experience full the whole experience. And I think that all of them play a role. They're interconnected with one another. In addition to that, the law of attraction or the law of creation is everything that is in our subconscious mind is projecting into our reality. So for me, those experiences were key to help me reach a level of understanding of myself, my own darkness as well. So I needed that. I really needed that. And I'm very blessed to have experienced everything I have.
Since you've been in the community and you've basically focused on the spiritual side and the connection side to the extraterrestrials, have you been paying attention to the entire disclosure movement that's been going on right now?
A little bit, yes, a little bit. Kind of just listening and hearing what's been going on.
I want to focus on this just for a tad because when we get into the next half hour, I kind of want to talk about tonight about ET contact, because with this whole disclosure movement that's going on, if the bubble does burst, there's about 7.8 billion people on this planet that are going to be affected by this. And people like you are going to be so needed in this field. So needed. And I really want to get into that. But for you, focused on more of the connection side of everything, how do you balance the connection side with trying to stay out of the politics and the game that's being played with whether or not aliens or UFOs are real?
How do I stay out of the politics? I think at this point, Dave, I've kind of been able to, well, first of all, train my intuition in a way where I really try to use my discernment. I apply my discernment to everything I am connecting with. And so when I start seeing things, and I'm not just looking at what's being presented in the media, but I'm also looking at historically around that theme, what has been said in the past. And there are certain trends that we see, things that have been talked about since the 50s that are kind of just resurfacing again a little bit. And I feel like it's like a drip. It's like drip disclosure, right? They let out a little bit at a time. Now, just looking at all the things that are happening right now in different industries, particularly to technology industry and also in our government, trying to create a space, space army or whatever it is that they're trying to create there. In my opinion, I feel that we're going towards a disclosure of technology rather than the profound information that we probably would rather hear, would hope to hear. And so in a way, sometimes I kind of notice that a lot of these things can also be distraction, as opposed to what real disclosure, which in my opinion, we have every single day, Dave. People that are seeing things in the sky, people that are experiencing, I think we're already been experiencing the disclosure. So I kind of tend to just get away from what's in the mainstream.
How do you balance that though? Because for a lot of people, even myself, I'm finding it very overwhelming right now. Trying to keep up with everything, mainly because we are a little bit of a woo news outlet. But I mean, to keep on top the way everything is changing, like my head is swirling with ideas and comments and questions that I have. And, the minute you finally grasp something, boom, you're on to the next topic. How do you stay away?
I mean, I feel like honestly, what's being talked about, none of that is really new, and that's just my humble opinion. I feel like we've been hearing about this stuff for a long time, so I'm not necessarily surprised. For me, what my concern is, or what my questions would be about, is what's the strategy? What are they planning behind that? What kind of technology is going to be put out, and who will that benefit? That's my question. What companies are benefiting from this information coming out, and who's not benefiting from it? So this is where I would like to get some answers about, to kind of learn a little bit more about what's been happening. But yeah, that's kind of how I am, though. I'm a little skeptical about all these things all the time.
Now, do you have people who, like if you're at a conference or something, do you have people who may be in the know who will come up to you and say, we need to have a talk off the record. I don't want you talking about this, away from this conversation. But do you know about A, B, C, D? Do you ever have those conversations?
Yeah, all the time. Every time we go to conferences, there's people that just come and have these amazing questions, and yeah, all the time.
But anybody who might be in the know?
I've had in the past, yes.
What's that like for you? Now, I don't want you to disclose any information because that's private information. And I'm not going to put you in an uncomfortable position. But what's that like for you, somebody who's pretty level-headed, who understands the other side of ET contact, to all of a sudden have somebody, who may be in the know coming up to you and saying, yeah, let's have a talk, and I want to find out what you know, and I'll combine it with what I know. How do you deal with that?
I think there's a time and place for everything. I mean, I think that information is very important, but again, it's interesting to have those conversations for what is necessary, in terms of, okay, whatever I experienced, maybe they're confirming some of those things. Maybe they want to find more information. I'm happy to share, whatever information is available. But there's always a responsibility too that one feels, Dave, right? I mean, it's like I have an experience, and whatever I experience is my personal perception as well. So, trying to give as much general information is good. Because some of these things, they just get really deep. They get very deep into a lot of things. And so, when we're talking about someone, if I don't know if you're referring to a government agent or someone that works here, on the other side of things, I don't know. I always question, what's the purpose of that? What's the purpose of that? And what are they looking to get? So, yeah, I'm just always cautious, but I'm happy to share as much as I can.
Do you ever feel like you're putting yourself in potentially a dangerous predicament?
I have in the past, but I think that when we're truly in a dangerous predicament, somebody's not going to just come up to you and talk to you. It's not going to be done that way. In my experience, it doesn't just happen like that. That happens on the other side when we're not necessarily consciously awake. All kinds of things can happen on the other side. I think the technology, either through the government or through these interdimensionals, is very advanced in a way where, those games don't necessarily have to be played. And information is exchanged one way or another.
I get you. Geraldine, I'm going to get you to hold on right there
Yeah.
because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Geraldine Orozco's The Spiritual You happens once a month here on Spaced Out Radio. When we come back, what if ETs land? Are we prepared? How do we prepare? And will Geraldine wave the human flag in peace and love when the aliens arrive? Spaced Out Radio continues after this. All right, we're clear.
Great. I'm going to grab some more water. I'll be right back.
You go,
okay?
girl.
All right.
You go. Chefist, how you doing, buddy? What's happening, man? What are you apologizing for, Chefist? The Chefist, man. Oh, hit my microphone there. Did everybody have a good day out there? Let's be honest. Did you have a good day? Guy Merritt, welcome. Guy. I go with the Canadian version of that. Guy. How do I keep a straight face, John? Like this. That was a good test. Joey Hayes, you only missed about first 18 minutes. Beehive chuckles. You got to be serious. Did Steven Tyler pass away? That's not good if Steven Tyler passed away. I'm checking Twitter right now. Steven Tyler didn't pass away. Where'd you see that? Well, that's worth a comment putting up. Chefist apparently had to announce that he made love to his lady tonight. Very nice. Very nice. I'm actually happy for you, my friend. I'm happy for you. Hi, Geraldine.
Hey.
How are
I'm
you?
back. I'm great.
All right.
How are you?
Are
you ready to go?
I am very, very energized tonight. Last night I was so tired and sore. We had a real quick weather change yesterday, and it got really humid here.
Really?
And
wow. No more snow, huh?
No. Actually, it snowed on the weekend. May 1st.
What?
May 1st, it snowed on the weekend.
Oh my God, you guys still have snow out there, but now it's humid?
Yeah, and so yesterday my entire body was aching.
Oh
I was in serious pain and I was cranky yesterday.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're better today. You're not cranky for our show today.
No. No. No, I'm all good now.
Very nice.
Yeah. What else is new?
This was an interesting weekend. Went down to LA to shoot for a show on
Mm-hmm.
about UFO stuff,
Nice.
contact stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was exciting. I drove. It was a long drive.
That's like 9 hours.
It's about 6 hours if you go on Highway 5. So it wasn't too bad, but
Okay.
yeah. And the weather's amazing in SoCal. It's like 90 degrees, 80 degrees, really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Today it was like
So
53 and I was without a jacket on.
that's heater weather.
No way. No way.
Oh my God.
No way. I'm excited for you. I mean, all these projects.
Yeah, well, I'm excited too. I mean, what's interesting to me is that people in mainstream and in Hollywood are getting interested in the topic more and more.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it makes me question why? Why now, right?
Well,
Because now we have so much disclosure coming out.
I need you to stop right there because we're going to do that here in about 20 seconds. Big thank you to Luana, Ed, and Science Bob for the super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And to everybody new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so you know when we are on live. Here we go with the second half hour. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, we got our archives for free for you. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with the Spiritual You. Near the beginning of each month, the lovely and talented Geraldine Orozco from GeraldineOrozco.com and BayAreaMeditation.com comes on the show to talk about everything about our Zen and our Chi and sometimes a little bit of aliens, which we are going to get into right now. Geraldine, for the last few weeks, I have been asking a very important question, and I wish more people in the UFO world would jump on board with this. The question is, why now? Why now is it all of a sudden important for the government to disclose UFO files? Why now has ufology become a hot-button topic around the United States and potentially the world, talking about visiting craft wherever they're from, jumping into military installations and really playing games with the United States Navy, the Air Force, and other armed services as well? Why now has this become a topic? I think of it as one of two ways. Number one, you could go the Dr. Stephen Greer route, which I do not believe, that it's all about fear-mongering, scare tactic, and a false flag alien invasion. Once again, I'm not buying that. But number two is the more realistic part. And as woo as it sounds, I think contact has been made and a date has been set. And that's the reason, because the one thing the military always does is it wants enough time to prepare. What's your thoughts of why now?
I mean, my opinion is a little different. My opinion is this. I think given the things that have happened over the past couple years, especially over the last year, I think that a new technology is going to be released that is next level. It's really questioning our physics, going beyond what we already know in all areas. And I think that it is technology that has been hidden from mainstream for a really long time. It's probably been tested. I think that some of the craft that we see out is interdimensional, but I also think some of it is terrestrial as well. And I think that some of that is going to be launched either in the military or something like this. And I think that they want to prepare for some kind of potential attack that they are going to want to say. But the idea is to launch technology. And I think that technology will really propel the medical industry. I think it will propel many areas of our reality into kind of the next phase. Why do I think that? I think that there have been different systems of control that have been exercised around the world over the past few years, 10 years, that have really demonstrated everything going virtual. We are leaning more towards artificial intelligence, and we are going in that direction in so many things. We're going in that direction with our computers, with our cell phones. But I think that the medical industry and also our everyday documents, passports, all of that is being taken online. I think that's the next step. Like what's happened in China, for example, where we have a number or a barcode for yourself and all your information is online. I think that there is a next level technology that will either help facilitate that or enforce that globally. That's my idea. And I really think that DNA will be a part of that information. And from the other side of it, I mean, talking directly about ETs, I mean, I think that they can't suppress the major awakening, in a sense, or the awareness that there is interdimensional presence in the world much longer, just because they're merging. I mean, the sightings are becoming more vivid with technology. People are talking more, we're hearing more, we're connecting with one another. And in that kind of unity that's being created globally, we're coming into a sense of where you can't really hide those kinds of things anymore, So, I mean, I think we're headed in a direction where the government's going to want to try to implement some kind of control system. I really do think so. And once again, my opinion is that the 99% is the disclosure. We are the ones that have to, we can't be waiting. I think if we wait for them to say something or put something out, I mean, they're going to give us what they want us to think, what they want us to hear. And there's always going to be a purpose and organizations that are benefiting from that, I believe. So I think we are the ones that have to get strong, pull away from the censorship, pull away from all of those things that are trying to guide our perception and create our own way to communicate and talk about these things. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, I agree with you on that, but do you think that a date has been set, that these extraterrestrials or ultra-terrestrials or wherever they're from have set a date saying, look, we're giving you time to prepare. Here we are. This is the date we're going to be here. Because there is 70 years of cover-up, 70 years of ruining people's lives, 70 years of calling people liars and fakers and wingnuts and putting people in padded cells because they believed in ETs and UFOs. I mean, it sounds like we're exaggerating because we live in the 21st century, but this is reality here, and it's not that old that this was happening and not that far back. So my question to you is this, do you think a time has been set where all of a sudden it's like, we better get going on this?
I think that the time, anything that has a date like that, I tend to be skeptical about. I don't think there's a time that has been set like that, because again, time is not linear in reality. I mean, okay, so the other part of that is, again, I think that these things are interconnected. I think that the pandemic has kind of led up to provide a space for these topics to be talked about. And how that's happened is very complex. I think a lot of corporations were kind of waiting for that, both in the financial realm of things and also in the pharmaceutical and other companies that are also involved in that. And I mean, I think that it's not necessarily a date where there's going to be. I don't think they're going to show us aliens. I highly doubt that. I really do. I think that they will try to control that, but they will say, just in case, we give you this. We offer you this kind of technology. Look what we have here. We're ready in case anything comes or in case anything. I think that maybe 10 to 15 years from now, we're going to actually have that next conversation. But I don't know. I could be wrong. But that's kind of what I see. Not sure.
Have you talked to your ET contacts about this?
I have here's what I do. I don't necessarily channel any information externally. I channel from my higher self, and here's what my higher self connects with this higher intelligence and fractals of myself is that separation and division is going to be really strong in the next 4 years, tremendously strong, in which people will be leaving the Earth timeline a lot. And those that come in are going to be artificial intelligence as well as incredibly highly advanced beings. And so now we're going into a different generation, the next generation of humanoids. And I think that what the focus is going to be on kind of either pulling away from transhumanism and artificial intelligence and pulling more towards the organic for those that are still here holding that higher light. I think that's where the battle is, AI or consciousness. I think that's where we're headed right now. That's the bigger conversation, I think, beyond just ETs. I mean, we are the ETs. That's the thing. We are a cocktail of that DNA. So within us is the interconnection to all of these different races that we're connecting with. And I think the government obviously knows that. They have their own hybridization and cloning program. So they're also preparing for something in the future, but it's not necessarily with everyone that is here on Earth right now. I think things are going to be divided coming up. We're going into a moment of division.
When you say division, what do you mean by that?
I mean, we're dividing between artificial intelligence and consciousness. So those that are choosing consciousness will experience things in a different way than those that are experiencing artificial intelligence will literally be hooked up to a network system where they're going to be like artificial intelligence, more like automated mechanical response like beings as opposed to conscious, more organic beings. And I think that technology is merging in that way. I think we are merging in that way. And some of the people will be recycled. There will be people that will go into the reincarnation cycle again. And I think that that's the purpose of a lot of the things that have been happening over the past couple of years, especially over the past year.
Okay. So, do you think there's a big game being played right now between the government, the disclosure movement, and the public?
In a way, I think that there is a purpose behind it. I don't think that it's just an innocent, oh, let's just give them some information now after so many years, after, again, like you just said, so many things, so many people. I mean, how many lives were cost and people went crazy because they couldn't talk about what they were talking about. That was suppressed for a reason. Technology wasn't ready. They needed to prepare the technology that's out today, which of course is archaic. And now we're getting ready to hyper jump into the next level of our civilization. I think that's what's been happening.
Okay. So, if we think that there is potentially contact down the road, I want to bring in an example here. Earlier today, I was talking to a gentleman that I work with during my daytime job, and he is very Christian, very like extreme Christian. And he was asking me what's new, and I said, "Oh, I'm following all the UFO news." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, the day of reckoning's coming, isn't it? You know, the demons are coming." And it made me think, and I said to him point blank, I said, "You're a believer in God. I'm a believer in God." I said, "You go to church. I don't." And, whatever, opening spiel that I gave. And I said, "Science has proven that the universe is infinite. We don't know where the beginning is. We don't know where the end is." I said, "So how can you say it's demons if we don't know how old everything is and we don't know if we're God's only creation?" And he's like, "I never thought about it that way." So, well, something to think about. But the point that I'm getting at by bringing that up is over half this population on this planet, whether we like it or not, is still very, very religious to one deity or another, whether it's God, whether it's Vishnu, whether it's Buddha, whether it's or Allah or Muhammad or whomever you want to pray to. So with more than half of this world's population still believing in a higher entity or creator, how can we convince those people that when or if the extraterrestrials come from the sky or wherever they're coming from, that they may not be demons? Because those people are ready for rapture. That's what they've talked about their entire life.
Hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting concept, and that's exactly why I think that it won't be disclosed in the manner where, oh, these are aliens. There are aliens. They look like this. There's reptilians. There's going to be a contact. I don't, and I think that interdimensional beings will be disguised as artificial intelligence. I think they're going to say, here's a robot. We can utilize this robot for this, and that will make sure that all the people that are still believing in these religious, ideas that have been for centuries are somewhat protected by that. I don't feel that it's gonna, because it really, it would cause chaos. I mean, even though there's little drip disclosures, even from the Vatican, about interdimensional contact and ETs, right? There's been little drip disclosures, and there are people within those religions, sects, that do discuss the extraterrestrial, existence. So, but is the world ready for that? I mean, what's interesting is that over the past few years, people have been kind of pulling away from religion little by little. I do think that more people are questioning those things more and more. I think technology plays a role in that. So this is why I think that we're still at the very beginning of a major transformation that will still take a couple years. There's many things that have to readjust in order for that kind of disclosure to come out. That's what I think.
Is the world ready?
Well, I think the question is, are we ready? Are we ready? Because if we're having contact and we're still afraid of talking about it with our friends and family, then we're not ready. I mean, we look at the reactions. I sometimes see these videos of UFOs and people go nuts, right? They're like, oh my God, let's go grab a gun. So, for example, there's some processes that have to happen. We need to understand. The problem is that we're uneducated. We don't understand, first of all, the technology. We don't question consciousness. All of these things we have to learn. We have to learn about so that we can understand what the ET phenomena is. What is consciousness? What does it manifest like? And what will happen is that a lot more people will begin to recognize that they're already having contact. They've already been having these experiences. I think thousands, potentially millions of people are experiencing but don't realize it. Do you know how many emails I get a week of women that say, you know what? I didn't realize that I was going through this, but when I hear your story, all of those things happened to me. And I didn't link them with ETs or anything like that, and it's very specific things. Men and women are doing that. So I think it's just a matter of education, Dave. And thanks to shows like yours and the work that you do in the world, you can put some of this information out and people begin to at least question what's happening. That's the important thing.
See, I'm an experiencer. As you know, you and I have had some pretty in-depth conversations about that. You're an experiencer. And I can look at it and say, look, with everything that I've seen up close and personal to from afar, I don't even know if I'm ready. I mean, there's a huge reality to this entire phenomena that we may not be ready for. And we have to be prepared for it. And it could be one of those things where, the saying's going to be, sucks to be you, because you have no choice. You're getting on this ride. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
that's what's scary to me and a lot of people. Like the other day I was thinking about, geez, how is my son going to react when in potentially 30 years there's going to be little extraterrestrial type people walking around this planet with him? That was a hard reality for me. Now, I do believe there's some exciting things coming with that. I think the medical technologies, like you said, hopefully will be phenomenal. I think, free energy, if we get the good kind to come down, not the ones that want to, annihilate us or eat us, because, somebody thin like you is going to, be way, way off the plate. I'm going first. People like me are going first. That's why I'm trying to lose weight now. So I'm not, trying to, either way, where I'm going with that. Bad humor, bad humor. But nonetheless, I just don't think, when it comes down to it, that as many people, even those who have had experiences, are ready for major contact. I really do not believe that.
You know what? That is such an important point, Dave. And let me tell you why. Because this is where we start talking about the other side of this, right? Let's talk about the spiritual side. Why is there a connection between ET contact and spirituality? Because in order to experience ET contact, you have to activate parts of yourself, activate DNA, use your intuition, because we're using senses that are not just the five senses. We're using extra senses in order to connect with interdimensionals. So this is where these two worlds mesh. And so the thing is that the more that we do spiritual work, the more that we begin to create a strong foundation of values and understanding of what we are, and begin to come into that 0 point, understand the laws of creation of the human, we can become friends with the unknown, and fear will be disarmed. When we become friends with the unknown, fear becomes disarmed. And no, we're no longer puppets of fear, whatever it is, whether it's political agendas, whether it's these major things happen in health problems with the physical body, or we're talking about ETs. We begin to become empowered, knowledgeable, because we know ourselves, we become ourselves. We are moving away from this identification of things that are manipulating us through us, because of us. And that's where we can begin to change and become empowered. This is where the key word, free will. This is so important to me that we understand what free will is, because as long as we don't recognize that we have free will and how to use it, we're always going to fall into the category of artificial intelligence, consciousness that does not become aware of itself, consciousness that doesn't know it's conscious. And that's where we end up being these automatons and robots to a system in which parasitically benefits off that unconscious behavior. So this is where we need to focus on personal development and that personal education, really push forward. And I think that collectively we are moving in that direction. That's what's happening right now, which is really great. And sometimes it's painful, but I think we're getting there. There has to be that transitional point.
Okay, so when we think about that with the glass half full, that's easy to think about. But there's a lot of negatives. Okay, the religious side, the financial impact, because this is going to affect every world finance, potential economic collapse, people who are just so scared that they're just going to shoot and kill anything they can that looks alien. I'm not trying to be a fearmonger here, but this is what I see happening.
Yes, it's very, very sad. It breaks my heart because, those people suffer a lot. They feel completely helpless to the situation. And again, it's a lack of education, a lack of understanding of what's happening. Imagine if that person was sat down and given a 5-minute download of, rewritten historically, what's been going on and what they are. I mean, there's a learning curve. And I think that we're at the very beginning of that learning curve, Dave. That's why I think that what will most likely come into the arena right now is going to be a technology which will probably most likely be focused on more of a control. And this is where the people that are conscious, the people that understand contact, need to speak up. We need to find our place and share with as many people as possible what's known already so that they can begin to prepare. I mean, can you imagine, I think 10 years ago, we were not having these conversations in the way that we're having them. I feel like people are catching up and they're thirsty. They're thirsty to know this information. A lot of them already know. They're just looking for confirmation, and they need moral support, to help them be like, yes, I am on board. I think the man is intuitive. These bodies are intelligent. We're intuitive. We know what's happening collectively. And we're fed that information sometimes through dreams. Sometimes we're receiving it The problem is that we forget that we're allowed to listen and implement those things into our lives.
Geraldine, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour, and we got a lot to talk about. We're going to continue with this subject when we come back. Are we ready for ET contact? Are we ready for absolutely anything that happens from the stars, from the future, maybe inner Earth, or some interdimensional plane? Oh, that sounds so beautifully woo, doesn't it? But the reality is, this is what's being studied. This is what people don't want to admit to hearing, but is actually being talked about within these circles in Washington, D.C. right now. I've talked to people, I know Geraldine has talked to people, and we're going to talk to you about it when we come back on Spaced Out Radio with Geraldine Orozco. GeraldineOrozco.com. The Spiritual You with Geraldine continues with Hour 2 right after this. All right, we're clear. We got about 6 minutes. I'm just going to step away for a minute.
Okay, I'll be right back.
All right. Let me just go like this. All right, be right back, guys. So everyone can see you. Come here. Come here. Come here. No. Oh, come here. Oh. See? Doug Stevenson, everybody. Doug Stevenson. Hey, Fast Hemi, how you doing? Hey, you lay down. Lay down. Good boy. Now, no snoring. Hi, Nikki. Hey, Joey Hayes. How are you? All right. Yes, my dog's name is Doug Stevenson. Hey, Life Dweller, the gorgeous and talented Itzy Zaza is back. You know, you got some fans here, Doug. All right, Geraldine, I'm not sure if you're back yet or not, but we got about 1 minute. You need to turn your mic on if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
There
I
you
am
are.
back. Yeah.
My dog is in here now.
Oh my gosh. Cute.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he was a bad boy earlier.
What did he do?
Jumped up on the counter and ate my lunch for tomorrow. My barbecued chicken.
Oh my God. Oh.
Off-World Adam, how you doing? Yeah.
He must have been hungry. He got the munchies.
No, he's just a hog that way. I did show the dog. He's now laying down beside me.
I missed it. Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a German Shepherd, Lab, Rhodesian Ridgeback cross.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fancy.
Big thank you to Ange, to Luana, to Ed, and to Science Bob for the super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. And by the way, Itzy Zaza loves your top that you're wearing. Here we go.
Oh.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I'm Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us and being here on this beautiful evening on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Query Tour. Query Tour is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You here tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Geraldine joins us once a month to get into our Zen, our Chi, and of course, some extraterrestrials as well. And if you are missing the first hour of the show, we were kind of just getting into the fact, are we ready for any type of ET contact because of what's happening? And we're drawing closer to the 180 days to some sort of disclosure, if we can call it that. Geraldine's website is GeraldineOrozco.com. Geraldine, welcome back.
Hey, thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. We love having you here on a monthly basis. We really do. You know, one of the questions I want to ask you to kick this off, okay, when we talk about people and whether or not society in general is ready for any sort of ET contact, the reason why I hedge against that is because I look at the way that we have treated people through COVID. All right? People going to the grocery store, hoarding hand sanitizer and then putting it on Amazon for a short time before Amazon shut it down, where they were charging $50 to $70 to $100 a bottle of hand sanitizer. People hoarding toilet paper, milk. You know, you'd go to the grocery store, somebody would have 8 jugs of milk. In the meantime, a mom with a little baby can't get a jug of milk. You know, I think with this entire pandemic, we have seen some of the best, yet some of the worst that humanity can offer in what's supposed to be a civilized society here in North America and in Western Europe as well. This is where I get my fear of whether or not we are actually ready for any sort of contact. Because next to Jesus Christ himself coming down from the heavens, ET contact and whether or not we are alone is really the second biggest story in humankind's history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, it's all about looking to see how people react when their, safety net is pulled away from them. I think in a sense, it's almost like an exercise. It's the world's largest exercise to see how we deal and how we cope with something like this. And it really says something to where we're at. I think a lot of ugly things were shown in broad daylight, looking at, how people respond, the kinds of things that they focus on. I don't know. It's been painful to watch as well, and just looking at the things that also come in from mainstream media in order to cause distraction to other things that are happening in the world also. I mean, most of the focus, as you saw, was in putting out information, numbers, sometimes inaccurate information about things. And that's a really irresponsible thing that was done even from the media side of it. So everyone was just out of line here. Meanwhile, so many things are happening in the world around us that we are not even looking at. It's like our attention is on the wrong things every time. And I think that happens because, again, the human is not in touch with themselves, isn't grounded, isn't clear about the priorities, which is collective well-being, not just individual egoic reactions, based on instinct that are not conscious of how they're going to affect one another. I think that this is a good time to really take a look at how we can look at the collective well-being of the human race as opposed to just individual benefiting from, one thing or another.
Well, that's absolutely awesome. And, and I understand that. But humans, we know fear. In a military-industrial complex that we live in, there's always fear. How do we get over that fear of the unknown when, like with COVID, we haven't treated each other very, very well. We have people ratting each other out. We have people brawling over masks. We have people who are avoiding any type of confrontation. We have the denialists. We have those who are overly paranoid with anything. And the minute you say hello to them, they jump 4 steps back. I personally had that happen. I mean, it's not a fun place to live. And, I will say this. We are turning more and more into a George Orwell 1984 type book where we're all, sitting in our cocoons, aka our condos, our houses, our cabins, our trailers, wherever we may be. And I can tell you, it's scary. It's scary to think that we are that close to almost, imploding on each other.
Mm-hmm. It's right. I mean, but if you look at 1984, I mean, what was happening? I mean, the people went along with what was being said. They didn't, look to think and discern where they were going to be putting their mind, their time, and their energy into. I think that we need to practice discernment at every step of the way, not get pulled into the things that are happening. This is why I'm very cautious about everything that comes out into mainstream, including disclosure. It's what I've been seeing is one distraction after the next. What can we do next to polarize people as much as possible, to create more distractions, more separation? Separation is the definition of fear. When we're separate from ourselves, when we don't want to see our darkness, whatever is happening inside of us is expressed outside. The entire world is a reflection of what is occurring inside. All of those wars, all of the battles that are happening internally are expressed externally. We live in a multiverse that is a fractal infinitely of one another. And it's down to the cellular molecular level of your body up to the largest expression of this multiverse. We're experiencing this kind of uprising and seeing of all the dark shadows that we've been hiding away. I mean, look at all the things that have come out with the Me Too movement, with all of these movements that have been kind of coming up, right? Talking about race, talking about gender, talking about everything that causes separation has been brought to the light. And it's brought to the light for a reason, so that we can begin to look at that. And if we're smart, if we understand in moving in a direction that is more healing, we're learning from nature. Nature maintains balance with everything. It understands that every single thing, from a parasite to a flower, plays an important role in maintaining a balance to the whole. So if we start to look at the things that are happening externally in that same way, we're not going to be investing our emotions and getting identified with these kinds of pools left and right. We're going to be really grounded and centered and always know that the next best step is always in the direction of unity and well-being of everyone involved, not just one party, not just another party. So, this is applying to what happened with the pandemic, and it's also applying what's going to be happening in the next coming years in order to avoid going into systems where the majority of the people are not using their discernment. Their fear is basically being weaponized against them. And that's where we fail. That's where we go into these, really toxic patterns of living.
We're going to have to change the way we do things. We're going to have to change the way we think. We are going to have to change the way we live our daily lives. Things that are important now are not going to be important when this day comes. I think of television. I think of sports. I think of movies and Hollywood. Even money maybe. I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, this is where when my mind starts racing, and as somebody who suffers proudly of anxiety and depression, my mind starts racing on not trying to focus on the negative, because I think there's going to be a lot of positives, but man, there's a lot of secrets that need to go, and we're going to become more fearful of people, in my opinion, if this happens, Geraldine. And I don't want to be fearful of my neighbor. I don't want to be fearful that if I decide to take my son to Disneyland, that there's going to be things happening there because of what's going on the planet. Or even my grandchildren, if I have any in the future. I don't know.
Well, it's really up to us. I mean, we see all of these things that are happening in the world around us, and we tend to go into this state of victimization. We begin to feel victimized in our environments, in our communities, even within our own families, because we have different opinions about things. And that's really one of the biggest flaws of human, is that the ego, the identity, wants to be right, or it wants to be correct, or it wants to be acknowledged in whatever it thinks. And really, a part of evolution, a part of maintaining the wellness of the whole, is that we begin to work in a team, as opposed to I am right in my ideas and what I do is the right thing to do. And we begin to say, hey, what does this brother need, or what does this sister need right now? How can we support? How can we allow for less suffering of the neighbor, of the person next to us? Because their suffering is our suffering. As you can see, we're afraid of them because they're going to do something crazy. Why? Because they're suffering. They're afraid and they feel helpless. They don't know what else to do. They think that's the only way. So we need to educate. We need to think about how to begin to work together. And so to me, this is actually the most important conversation that we should be happening right now. With all of the unknown possible things that could be happening in the world around us, how do we cope with things that we're not prepared to hear? We begin to deal with the parts of us that want to control the things that are happening outside of us. Here's the bottom line. We can never control the things that are happening outside of us, ever. We can only control ourselves. We can only control the way we feel. We can only control our emotions and how we react to those things. So that is where our power lies. If the human race wants to get to this next level in a way that is healthy, well-being, and in one piece, we have to remember that and start applying that, because the fear is actually the greatest way to control the masses. It's been that way since religion was created, since political systems were organized, since in the Industrial Revolution was created, all kinds of things in order to maintain people compartmentalized in states of fear. And that is weaponized against us because we don't know how to manage our fear. We don't know ourselves. And that's a problem. That's a flaw that we've been experiencing generationally here. So I think it's time for us to, take things into our own hand and understand how much power we have. Not just the everyday things that happened, but we need to start activating the superhuman, which is our ability to begin to connect with our higher aspects of ourselves that allow for clear intuitive action, something that is more of a collective view instead of a myopic singular view where we're always going to be headed in a direction of self-destruction. And if we doubt any part of that, all we have to do is look at nature. Because when something is out of balance in nature, it becomes self-destructive, right? And so we need to create that balance internally and externally.
Geraldine Orozco is here on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Okay, for people who may want to start investigating how to create contact or how to be prepared, what is your advice to them for doing this? Because I don't know what to say to people. I really don't.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, contact is available to you at any time, but there are a couple things, and I talk about this in a little course that I'm just putting together about how to do this kind of intergalactic connections. I mean, what is contact? Contact is your ability to communicate with aspects of yourself. When we are having contact, we're connecting with aspects of ourselves. And because we're one, once again, which means that our organism is very complex. It's interconnected with one another. I'm connected to you. I'm connected with every single person that's in the chat and listening to this show right now. We are connected. And we're connected in a very complex way. We're connected in our genetic lineage and what we are, but we're also connected in a network that is invisible, that we tune in to different things, and we tune into information through vibrational frequencies like a radio station, like a radio dial. So it's important because if you're turning your radio dial to a station that has really distorted frequencies, and usually those are informed by fear, parts of us are afraid or insecure about what we're connecting to, we're going to attract that exact same thing into our sphere. We're going to be attracting parasitic aspects because we are parasitic on ourselves. I can explain that more in just a minute. But if we want to create positive contact, we have to have our subconscious mind very clear, and the intention has to be clear that that's what we're coming into. And it's not just that you're happy, you're saying mantras, oming, and hoping for this contact to occur. It goes beyond that. It's the subconscious mind. It's what's happening in your body, emotionally, mentally, and energetically, that has to align with the intention of what you're intending to connect with. So if you want to have that contact, do that work. You need to meditate. You have to clear your mind. You have to learn how to dominate your mind. And you have to be able to do that because you need to understand, in a sense, the difference between deception or illusion and what is real. And it's very hard for us to do that because we think that what's outside and what we're feeling externally is real. In reality, the things that are happening internally and the intuitive dialogue is actually the real communication. So when we can tune into that, our communication will be strong, it'll be clear, it'll be in alignment with what we need. And contact experience is very personal. We're tapping into aspects of ourselves, whatever is in our DNA code, whatever is in that cocktail of DNA that we have either previously been or interacted with, is what will most likely be present for us. So that's kind of a couple little things that I can say on that.
All right. All right. Well, that opens up so many different questions, Geraldine. I mean, do you think then internally or spiritually, we know this is going to happen? We know that contact is going to be made. We know it's inevitable. And this is just us now having to open up on our spiritual side to reconnect with our higher selves?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're connecting with aspects of ourselves. What I keep hearing with a lot of people that are contactees with experiencers, after talking to hundreds of them over the past 3-4 years, they all have some kind of spiritual practice. They have either, it's one or two things. Either they have been fascinated or have this incredibly strong affinity to space and to interdimensional contact from childhood, which means that they have it fresh within them. That means that they're already pretty awake and aware to the existence of other dimensions. In other words, they're more than likely hybrids, or they have practiced spiritual practices that have made them more consciously aware of interdimensionalities, of their own interdimensionality of consciousness. So they open up something that makes them now available to experience this interdimensionality. Your awareness of that allows you to experience more profound experiences. I think that people that have conscious experience and remember things, I think those numbers are going up in the coming years, because we are at an evolutionary state right now where galactically we are moving through a photon belt, but also time is speeding up. The entire Earth is vibrating at a certain vibrational frequency that accelerates the ability to interconnect and to communicate and to be more available for these kinds of other frequencies, other dimensional contact. People are really tuning into lucid dreaming, astral projection, and they're having more of these out-of-body experiences. So I think all of these things play a role in how we experience this phenomena.
We have about 2.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Geraldine Orozco is here with the Spiritual You. Geraldine, as we start to awaken and come to the possibility that there could be extraterrestrials planning on visiting this planet, for us spiritually speaking, do we have to worry about what they are going to bring with them, whether it's new spiritual guidance, whether it's new spiritual new ageism, whether it's godly type attitudes because they are from the stars or wherever they're from? I mean, this is another one of those little snafus that we have to figure out.
Yeah, you know what? That's really good that you brought that up, because I think that's already happening, Dave. I think that a lot of people are tuning into things like channeling, for example, and they are channeling all kinds of things. And I mean, we've been seeing people that even create these cult-like groups with information that is being said to be channeled. We have to remember that when we're tapping into information, whatever it is, we're also dealing with a lot of mind control in this realm, and so it's in levels. We're dealing with that in the terrestrial plane. We deal with that with government programs that are meant and designed to create mind control, but we're also experiencing that in the other inner layers of dimensional planes that are part of this earth, that tap into entities that tend to be more parasitic in the way that they are. And they will begin to give information to the host that they will then distribute out. But when you hear carefully those messages, you begin to find little things where truths are inverted, information is inverted. And oftentimes I think it's very dangerous to see some of this information put out there, because people take it as a religion. They take it as truth without checking in with their self, with their intuitive understanding of what they're hearing, and without practicing and living that. They depend on the information that's coming through. So I think we're very much at that state already right now, which again takes us to the thing where to the point that we are the ones that have to be in charge of the information that comes in. This is why I don't tend to channel information from anyone. I only channel my higher self and what comes in through me. And I highly recommend that for everyone so that we can start to discern what's right and what's wrong. The closer you get to nature, the closer you align yourself with the natural laws of creation. And this is something that's not new. What I'm saying right now has been written in ancient literature for centuries and centuries. It's hidden knowledge, the real true wisdom. Oh, we're going out to break.
You know what? You can finish that thought when we get back. Geraldine Orozco's The Spiritual You continues on Spaced Out Radio. We'll also take your questions when we come back right after this break on the mighty SOR. All right, we're clear.
Awesome.
People are loving you. People are loving you.
Love you guys. Love you guys so much. I'm so happy you're here.
Mm-hmm. Gee whiz.
Oh, baby. I'm going to run really quickly.
You go, girl.
I'll be right back.
You go, girl. I'm going to put my hair down while you're...
Okay.
There we go. What do you say there, Doug? Good show? Like I said, dude, no snoring, okay? I don't have enough hair ties here, Polar Eclipse. Oh, gorgeous Jules, you stop now. You stop, you're going to make me blush. Thank you, Rocket9. How you doing, man? Anya, thank you so much for that lovely super chat. Really do appreciate that. Your support is awesome. And a big thank you to Catfish times 3, Andrew, Ange in Australia, Luana, Ed, and Science Bob for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And we want to say thank you. Honestly, thank you so much. Appreciate that. I got my You Got Aliens t-shirt on tonight, too. Hold on. Let me pull it. Nope, wrong way. Ah, there we go. You got aliens. Wrong side. You got aliens. Yeah. Hi, gorgeous Ronnie. Hi, Cat, the gorgeous Kit. Oh, hey, Clam. Well, hello, gorgeous Jennifer P. How are you? Kurt Seltzer with a splash of lime is back, everyone. Splash of lime. Splash of lime, Geraldine. Your hair looks immaculate tonight.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. I'm not even
Let me
sure I
put
brushed
mine
it
down
tonight.
so that way, we can compare here.
Oh yeah, let's compare.
It's
I
getting
think
longer. It's getting longer.
your hair grows like, I mean, it's unbelievable. I wish my hair grew as fast as
I
yours
just
did.
got a haircut too.
Oh my gosh, this man.
I did.
You're a hair growing machine.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Are you gonna cut it again?
No, I'm gonna keep it this length. I'm gonna grow it down to about here. I'm not gonna grow it as long as I had it last time, yet. But
Very nice.
Geraldine actually got to touch the hair last time. The magical hair she did in San Francisco. Hold on, we have like 9 seconds here. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune us on in. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Geraldine Orozco from GeraldineOrozco.com and BayAreaMeditation.com. And we're talking UFOs, aliens, all night long with this lovely young lady who, there's not many people who have better hair in this business than me, but Geraldine is one of them. Geraldine, welcome back.
Hi, thank you again.
I know. I can't even look at you. Your hair's so nice, honestly. Anyhow, moving forward, look at you, you're starting to blush now. It's awesome. Awesome. Anyhow, as we move forward here, for those who are just tuning in, of course, we have been really looking into the entire phenomena of what happens if contact is made. What happens if we have a date? What happens to the people on this planet? Are we going to be more spiritually advanced? How do we dig into ourselves to potentially think that we could have contact within the next 5 to 30 years?
So I think like what we were talking about earlier is about preparing our minds to be okay with the things that we are unknowing, that we don't know about. So I don't know. I'm excited to see how society takes it. How society takes it. I think that we can prepare by once again doing that inner work that needs to be done.
When you start preparing yourself, is this meditation? Is this part of our spiritual enhancements that we try and do for ourselves? Or where does it come from?
So when we talk about preparing the self, there is one main key thing that I talk about, and it's about being present, about remembering the self. And it's the difference between going into an automated self where we're mechanically responding to things, and the difference between being conscious and consciously experiencing something. So if you can remember yourself, like right now, do you remember yourself in what you're doing? Even if you're listening to this or watching or whatever, I mean, do you feel your entire body? Or do you know that you're here? Are you aware of your entire body? Do you know what you're feeling and why you're feeling that? Just that simple question right there. If you can ask yourself that, at least begin every hour checking in with that tiny little question, it can change your life. because you begin to bring awareness as a practical instrument in your everyday life to begin to notice where you begin to go into hypnotherapy, or you begin to hypnotize yourself with the things that are externally stimulating you, either emotionally or energetically, and you begin to take back your understanding of why you are doing what you're doing. And that's where things begin to change. Over time, practicing that activates your intuition. It activates your ability to heal yourself, and it activates your ability to embody well-being and prolonged states of connection with yourself. So that is really the first step into getting into this superhuman state where you're aware of what you're experiencing. And it's really that simple, but also it is hard. It is hard in the beginning because we're so used to forgetting ourselves in environments. We just get involved with what we're experiencing. We're used to our emotions. So it's a matter of training ourselves. And as you go through that process, you begin to become aware of the next step, which is loving the self. Remembering the self is a form of self-love, because you now can choose if you want to intoxicate the body with heavy emotions like anger, like fear, because all of those things are chemical reactions in the body that cause stress and that really bring a lot of the body out of balance. So you have to really check in with yourself. Do I want to treat myself that way? Is what I'm experiencing important enough? Can I affect it with the emotions that I'm feeling? And the answer is always going to be no, you cannot. You can affect it by looking at what's happening and rationalizing and thinking and really understanding what's happening and then acting, creating, as opposed to just reacting and mechanically feeling emotions. So a lot of things begin to change. We now have a lot of more responsibility about what we're experiencing, instead of being victims of the things that occur around us. And that's the step, right? In that is the key to dealing with anything that's unknown, that happens, traumatic, emotional, inside out. You're training yourself to deal with.
Question coming from our chat room here from the Michael Leger, who made this gnome right beside me, right here.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Yes,
beautiful.
it is beautiful. And anyways, he is asking, for the past 2 months, my body vibrates for about 5 to 10 minutes before I fall asleep. What is that, Geraldine?
That's interesting. So, I'm not sure. It could be one of a couple things. For one thing that I've heard a lot recently is when we are coming out of body experiences, or we're beginning to detach from the body, oftentimes we experience very strong vibration or rumbling, or we hear rumbling feelings, or we have the sensation of falling, and then we begin to detach from the body. Um, Another thing that could be occurring there, and as a Qigong master, what I experience is that when we have too much heavy energy in the body that's locked into the body, not being moved through the body, at the end of the night, when you're relaxing, all of that stress that you've kind of been ignoring or suppressing throughout the day kind of comes up. And so now it comes to surface. And so I really strongly suggest having a Qigong practice. You don't need to go to a school or anything. You can find a lot of these really easy videos on YouTube that will show you how to move heavy energy out of the body. And it would also help you sleep better when you're going into bed, when you're going to sleep. I think that astral projection, astral travel, lucid dreaming is actually the most important part of our spiritual work and our spiritual evolution. So that when you begin to feel that, try to connect with the body. What is it telling you? Are you detaching from the body into the astral plane? Or are you trying to release energy from the body? So take a look at what's happening. Connect with your body and intuitively try to see what's going on there.
All right. I don't see any other questions here right now from our audience, but they will come through. They will. Mm-hmm. They always do.
Yeah.
So when we start preparing ourselves for trauma, or what anxiety, whatever it may be. Like, I know for myself, being somebody who is anxious in life, when I have something that I don't want to do, I can feel that timidness or that anxiety building up an hour, 2 hours, and I might not even know that it's going to happen. I can just feel something is going to happen. I'll give you an example. A couple weeks ago, my ex-wife, I woke up to a text message from my ex-wife asking me about my daughter. And I was like, before I even opened the message and just saw the name, I was like, oh my God, it was like 0 to 150 miles an hour within 2 seconds flat. Because we're prepared for that damage, that pain and that heartache. Now thankfully, it was that my daughter had enrolled in college and needed some help. So, absolutely, I have no problem doing that. I don't have a lot of money, but whatever money I do have will pay for college, because that's just the dad I am. But, I mean, the fact is, we prepare as humans for the negative. We prepare for that worry. We prepare for that fear. Okay, what do we do next? Whether it's high trauma like a forest fire, or whether it's potentially aliens coming in the next few years, we have to prepare for it. So how do we calm ourselves to think rationally in regards to these real life situations?
Well, one of the things that I discovered early on in my journey is that I was categorizing things as good and bad and right and wrong. And I realized that that's actually a really huge burden. And a lot of times I was mistaken in the way I was categorizing things because I lacked information. I lacked the ability to remove myself from the experience and be able to have a broader perspective about what I was experiencing. So when that happens, when we are completely identified in what's happening, oftentimes we end up just assigning from what we know, and we categorize those experiences as good and bad. But sometimes that's a very limited perception. Sometimes we fail to see another person's experience or their perspective, or perhaps if you zoom out of it, you begin to see that maybe what happened wasn't bad. Maybe it was something that was necessary for you to get to a next step, or whatever the reason might be. The point is that there's a key element in that practice that is not just liberating, but will completely change the way that you work with your emotions on a daily basis. And that is to detach yourself from having any expectation or from applying meaning to something. Because when we apply meaning to something, we're only doing it from what we know. And that's limited. We don't know everything. We can't know everything. So it would cause less suffering. This is the birth of all suffering. The suffering is that we want to categorize. Oh, whoops.
Did you just spill your water?
I did.
Do you need to get a towel?
I do. 1 second.
All right.
Let me grab that.
All right. We're going to give the play-by-play here I hope she has a towel nearby, because the last thing you want, I mean, there may have been an ice cube in there. And hopefully, was there an ice cube in there, Geraldine?
Okay, it's fine. No, I spilled water on my beautiful keyboard, which is like a gift from my brother. It lights up. It's so beautiful. And I hope I didn't ruin that. But it's okay. It's good. We're okay.
Quickly turn it upside down.
I did.
Okay,
We're good.
All right.
Sorry, guys. So anyway, when we apply meaning to things, then of course we're limited in what we're experiencing because we're only looking at it through that perspective. So a more liberating and more flexible way of experiencing things would be to not apply meaning immediately, to just observe. And that state of observation allows you to have a more broader possibility for what you're experiencing. Maybe if you observe what's happening, you can start to see the good in what you're experiencing, or another way that doesn't need to necessarily cause you suffering. So that's the key. And you're now choosing, do I want to suffer when this happens to me? Or do I want to just, accept what has happened and then choose to move forward in an intelligent and healthy way?
All right. Questions from our audience Anya is asking, Geraldine, how were you able to find peace when they took your hybrid children? It's so hard for some people.
That's a really, really great question. And it really goes back to a very deep understanding as to what the hybridization program is and what we are. When I originally had that contact experience and I met them, I immediately began to tap into this incredible instinctual feeling that made me want to protect them, wanted to be there, wanted to take care of them. But in that exchange with the children, they knew, as well as all the other participants in what was occurring, my role. And my role in that was to provide that life. And then the children were taken away. Okay. I have 24 hybrid children in 4 different programs. Okay. So there are different agendas and they're created for different things. The purpose, what I have discovered through my experiences, is not so much about playing the role of being a mother in those experiences, as much as it is that my genetic code, my information, was the valuable thing that was utilized in order to create this life. They have an extension of my soul. They are a fragment of my soul. And so as an extension, because we are one, there is never a disconnect between myself and these beings and these children. I am always connected to them at all times. So when I really processed and understood that, I realized that I could affect more greatly my role in that participation by allowing and accepting what was occurring, right? And so these children will be utilized, either brought back into the incarnation cycle, or they will be utilized for other kinds of programs. And it takes us to another more complex, understanding of what these systems and exchange of consciousness are. But we can talk about that some other time. But thank you so much for that question.
All right. Luana has a question. How do we learn to speak light language? Is this technology already in us and waiting to be activated, or is it a download?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, light language is a vibrational frequency. It's an expression of vibrational frequency. And so when we begin to speak this language, we are tapping in to that, and it's being translated as a verbal language into sounds and words. And so a couple things have to happen. First of all, you are channeling. And so the question is, what are you channeling? Is this something that is a high vibration expression, or is it something that is perhaps more parasitic? There can be either one of those. So obviously, as with everything, please utilize discernment when you're beginning to channel. But when that language begins to come out, as it did for me and many other people, just allow whatever comes through without judging what you're experiencing. And oftentimes it really helps to record yourself because, you won't understand it. What I classify as a high vibration channeling in light language is one that begins to produce imagery in your mind. This is where you begin to connect the vibrational information that's coming through with the physical aspect of yourself. You almost translate into this information. And so you'll begin to get telepathic information, which means that you'll have images in your mind as well as listening to what's going through. So how do you begin doing that? Deprogramming fear programs of yourself, limiting beliefs, allowing yourself to once again, being comfortable with the information by trusting your intuition is very important. So begin to trust yourself, build a strong trust so that whatever you bring through is in alignment with what you need.
All right, let's go over to our Spreaker chat room where Catherine is asking, Geraldine, my whole life I've had areas that I felt like they were just letting out serious heat, mostly on the extremities, concentrated areas, or am I experiencing spontaneous combustion from the multiverse? It's like bursting fire.
That is amazing. Well, we are these incredible electrical beings that we have so much energy moving through our body. We literally have that positive and negative charge in the body. And we have runways that run through the body, and the termination points or the vortices that allow that energy to move through and out of us is located in the palms and of your hands and the base of your feet. So when we are doing grounding, for example, if you have so much of this heavy energy in the body that you haven't moved, a way to release that energy is through the base of your feet. However, some of us are constantly releasing things. Sometimes we have a hard time keeping the energy in the body, and that can create an imbalance in the energy that you're holding in the body. And sometimes that can cause you to feel really hot, or very, very cold. So go ahead and take a look at what's happening in your body. Are you expelling more energy in an imbalanced manner? Or are you storing too much energy, too much chi? A lot of that has to do with the solar plexus, the center of empowerment, the emotional body. Are you suppressing really, really powerful emotions that you're afraid of feeling? Are you afraid to feel certain emotions? Because a lot of time, that's what tends to build up heat in the body in an imbalanced manner. And usually it's in the center core of the body. Also, purification of the liver and the kidneys would be advised for you, because there's something occurring that we're not purifying energy and running energy clearly through the body. I suggest to create a good energy exercise where you're imagining energy coming through the body and grounding it down into the earth before you go to sleep. Okay, just balance the energy in the body in that way. And always remember that you maintain your energetic protection around you. Be aware that you can open and close the vortices in the hands and the feet when necessary. So just tune in with yourself and see which one of those you need more. Okay?
All right, we've got about 3 minutes to go here. Let's get to Andrew's question. He is asking, are we returning to our bodies if we are having the felling dreams? I'm going to assume that means falling. I'm not sure what felling means.
Yes. When we have the sensation of falling, usually it's when we are detaching from the physical body. And so oftentimes people will feel like they're falling, and they will get scared, they will get startled, and they will oftentimes wake up and interrupt that ability to astral project or out-of-body experience. So oftentimes, if you're trying to experience out-of-body experiences, I would suggest that train yourself to allow yourself to fall. Now, a couple, and this is going to be funny, but some ways that I've learned to train myself in those experiences is literally to feel, this is going to be funny, rolling off the side of your bed. Put some pillows next to your bed, okay, blankets and pillows. And before you go to bed or in the morning, literally roll off the bed onto the floor, onto the pillows. Make sure that you have something to catch you, that you won't hit your head or anything. But when you do that, you begin to feel more comfortable with moving through. Yoga is also really good because you learn how to dominate the body in a handstand or doing exercises like that. Those exercises will help you feel more comfortable with surrendering to these very vulnerable states where we feel like we're falling. And so continue that, and that will then take you into your journey. It's very important to train yourself to astral project, because that's actually where the majority of our real work begins.
All right, 90 seconds left. Eugene is asking, upon attainment of the highest heights, what do we find, Geraldine?
The highest height. You know what? The discovery and this spiritual evolution never ends. It's never ending. In the highest level, our human minds could not possibly compact and comprehend everything that is out there. So this is never ending, continuous returning to a state of understanding what unity consciousness is. But we'll talk a little bit more about that too later.
Well, we got about 40 seconds if you want to.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So when we talk about coming to the highest level, all that we're doing is broadening our perspective. And that means going deeper into an understanding of what unity consciousness is. We're doing that in levels. When you're at the most closed state, you're only thinking about the individual. When you go into the higher God creator states of yourself, God creator states, you are going into a unity consciousness, and that extends out into the earth, the world, the galaxy, the multiverse, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, we're just broadening our understanding of everything from physics to math to understanding our dimensional extension of our bodies. So it's never ending, really.
We have Geraldine Orozco for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio as she comes in near the beginning of each month. For the spiritual you, her website, GeraldineOrozco.com, BayAreaMeditation.com. She's based out of San Francisco, California. We'll continue with audience questions and much more. Don't forget, we also have the Magic 8 Ball to kick off the bottom of the hour as well. Spaced Out Radio continues after this. All right, my friend, I'm stepping away for a few minutes here.
All right, me too. Be right back.
Okay. Come on, Doug. Come on. Let's go. Let's go, buddy. Good boy. Thanks, Dad. Come on. One more time. doing? Gonna come over here? Huh? Gonna come over here? Or are you gonna lay down over there? All right. Want to remind you that, let's see here. I'm pulling out the old winter blend here from Mighty Moose Beard Oil. This is my beard oil that I use from MightyMooseBeard.com. Gary the Dutchman sets me up all the time. Just throw a little dabs right in there. That'll do it right there. Oh, that looks good. And just massage it in. Just how easy it is. Just massage it into the beard. Oh, that's nice. And for the ladies out there, you can massage it into your hair. It's all natural, no chemicals, helps your hair grow, helps prevent split ends. MightyMooseBeard.com is the website. Gary the Dutchman's going to give you a deal too, people, if you go and use promo code SOR2019. You got your choice of the original blend, the smoke, what is this one? The winter blend, the True North blend, which I love as well. And it just really, really amps you up. And it smells great, makes your hair just do wonderful things. And you don't have to worry about it because you could shake your head all around and your hair still looks beautiful. MightyMooseBeard.com. Go see Gary the Dutchman. Right? It works. It's great. I love it. Smells great. Bumblefoot uses it. So it's always a good product to have. And, MightyMooseBeard.com is the website. Use promo code SOR2019, and you guys will be caught up, smelling good, looking good, and feeling good with Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All right, Geraldine, we're on here in like 15 seconds, so you might want to turn your camera on. There you are. Thank you to Bigfoot Rob, Vin, Anya, Catfish, Andrew, Ange, Luana, Ed, and Bob for the super chats. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quarry Tour. Quarry Tour is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, from BayAreaMeditation.com, GeraldineOrozco.com, we have Geraldine Orozco and The Spiritual You. It happens here at the beginning of each month where we find our Zen and our Chi. And Geraldine, we always love it when you're here. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure. It's an honor.
Absolutely. Jeff wants to know, are you going to stick around for the Magic 8 Ball where we debate?
The 8 Ball? Do I know what that is? What's that all about?
This is the Magic 8 Ball. We get our audience to ask questions, and we see if the Magic 8 Ball can actually predict the answers. You're more than welcome to stick around the last half hour if you want. I don't know. I know you're a night owl, but you got things to do. I mean, you only sleep about 27 minutes a night.
That's true.
No, very true. Very true. We'll leave that up to you, whether you not want to come play with us. You're more than welcome to, though. All right.
Thank you.
Right before the break, we were talking a lot about, in preparation, how to prepare ourselves for everything. People around the world right now, especially in North America, we're feeling antsy. We're feeling enclosed. COVID has really hit us hard now. All right. As much as states are opening up in the U.S. and Canada, it's starting to tighten up even more. We're all tired of it. We're sick of it. We're sick of wearing masks. We're sick of hearing about the shot, whether or not we're taking it. That's a debate for any other night, but not here. Okay. How do we get rid of that pressure and that buildup and that anxiety, that tension, that depression that seems to now be building in a lot of people right now?
I think it's important to remember going back to basics. When things get really crazy, let's just take a step back and go back to basics. And what are the basics? The basics are, in order to create well-being for yourself. Right now we are in quarantine, some of us. Look at the silver lining in that. You have some time. You can spend more time with your family at home. It allows you to reconnect again with the things that are valuable and important to yourself. I mean, a lot of times we've been running like crazy, just not even thinking, going one thing after the next, driving around in traffic, sitting in traffic, especially here in California. I don't know how it is in other states, but, most of our lives is spent in our commute. I think a lot of things have gone out that are good out of the things that have happened in the past couple of years. And I think that we need to take a look at that and choose wisely moving forward again. So as we begin to create a healthy routine, take this moment of pause to choose how we're going to move forward. Are we going to keep going back to those same habits that are not good for us? Or are we going to start creating habits that are good for us? Meditation, really important. Mindfulness throughout your day, eating healthy. All of these things that help us sustain are not extracurricular things. They're actually the basics and the foundations that are most important for us in life. And if it's one thing that all of this has caused us to look at is our health. How are our immune systems? How does the immune system work? A lot of people still don't understand how the immune system works. We need to educate ourselves on those things and begin to build strong immunity emotionally, physically, and mentally for more things that are going to cause us to come out of balance. So the way I look at it is, again, it's an opportunity. Look at it as an opportunity to begin to change.
Can we change, though? Because we are creatures of habit.
Yes, that's right. So if the habit is going to bring us into destruction, self-destruction, and those of you that have children, even more so, we really need to question, do we want to carry on our self-destructive habits to our children by creating an environment of stress, of anxiety, fear? Or do we want to equip them with tools to be able to have healing for themselves, well-being, learn how to have a strong mind so that they know that they are in charge of the physical body? These things are important. And it's actually the technology that we've all been waiting for. We keep talking about disclosure and all these things, but we are that. We are these highly advanced technology beings. We are these interdimensional beings that we're waiting for. So the more and more we sit down and recognize this body and begin to work with that, this is where we're going to start taking not just ourselves, but the collective. See, all the things that are happening outside in the world around us are a reflection of all of the inner turmoil that we don't deal with. So we need to sit down and handle that. That is priority number one. And from that place, we can choose better for the family, choose better collectively, and begin to move. And this really goes into how we are putting our money, where we're putting our money, where we're investing, where we're putting our time and our energy. Are we sitting at home watching TV all day, looking at toxic television or news or things that are pulling us away from important things? That's the question. And if we are, we really need to see if we want to continue choosing that or choose something better.
We, as a society, want to relax. I think that's why we dumb ourselves down by watching TV. I'm guilty of it. I'm sure many people are. I think it all depends on what you're watching, too. Lord knows I can't take any more home reno shows. It's driving me nuts right now. I just want to paint everything and tear down walls. and I'm not constructive whatsoever.
Dave, you're so funny. Oh
It's
my
true,
gosh.
It's true, though. You know?
Oh, yes. Well, it's true. We want to escape, and that's just the thing. It goes back to the question you asked me about earlier. How can we stop being fearful of things? And it's about what we're applying meaning to. If we think that the things that are happening in our life are stressful, of course we're going to want to run away and run away from that, hide somehow, suppress our emotions by escaping, whether it's through self-medication of some kind or, watching something that will hypnotize us away from those emotions. But that's just the thing, people. You are a victim and you are a slave of that fear. You have now become a slave of that fear because now every action that you take is in order to avoid this fear. So that's your life. So is that what you want your life to revolve around? Or do you want to come into a state of expansion? Think about when we are in the feeling of being in love, the study of bliss, right? When we come into a state of gratitude, of bliss, we are not only more creative, but we're healthy. We have more energy. We are more vibrant. We can do more things. Look at us. We are in a state of victimization, fearful, at home, depressed, not moving, stagnant. So all we have to do is just get really real about what these choices in our life are doing, how they're affecting us and those around us, and begin to take responsibility, right? And remember, like, we're an interdependent race. I mean, everyone is part of one another's lives. So if we continue to bring our whole family down this path, we're neglecting the way our children feel when we're escaping. We're ignoring it. We won't even be able to recognize that feeling in our children because we're so disconnected from ourselves. Do we want to cause violence in that manner to our children? Because that's what it is. It's violence towards ourselves and violence towards others.
The Michael Leger is asking, what do we do to protect ourselves from fearful people?
Oh, that's a great question. But again, the fear that we see in others is fear that we have in ourselves. Otherwise, we won't be able to recognize that. So, again, what is fear? Fear is separation. We believe that something outside of us is unknown, and because it's unknown, we want to separate ourselves from it. We want to hide from it. We want to protect ourselves from it. So our mentality is, again, individual. It's very limited, and it's not looking at truth. It's only looking at one possibility. So if you begin to pan out a little bit and take a look at what you're experiencing here, you begin to notice that there are many untruths that you're buying into. Your own untruths about the way you feel and why you feel that way, and what's being told to you, what you're experiencing. So if you begin to look at those and notice what parts of those things are not really taking true energy from you, you can choose. You can choose not to feel fear. You begin to feel maybe compassion for yourself and the emotions that you're feeling, compassion for the other person that's feeling fearful, because you see, you recognize that, you know that. And that's where you begin to change your habits. You become a creator instead of reacting to things, another puppet to this reaction that this other person is having. So we begin, going down this cyclical pattern of just reacting without really thinking. And that's toxic. So it's not so much about protection as it is creating neutrality. The highest form of protection is for you to come into a state of neutrality by knowing your own fear, what causes fear in you, and becoming very acquainted with those things and questioning each one of those things that you fear to see if, does it help you to feel that fear? Does it change something for you to feel that fear? The answer is no. So instead of feeling that fear, what can you feel, or do you need to feel anything when you see this happen, this unknown happen, that would be productive? And the answer is always going to be a neutral perspective. When we come into neutrality, it's the highest form of the protection, of creating a neutral space for you to be truthful with yourself and the things that happen around you.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. There's a lot of people wondering out there, how do I move on? How do I, live my life? Give an example with myself. I refuse to accept that what we are seeing is the new normal. New normal is me being able to see my parents, or the normal is being able to see my parents. Not having to worry about getting a text message from my nephew tonight who says, I have a wedding date scheduled with my fiance and it's in 2022. That's if everything works out and we're allowed to travel. Sitting at home is not normal. Wearing a mask, whether you believe in it or not, that's not the debate. It's not normal. And we're trying to normalize what we are going through. There's a huge part of society that is. And I can tell you point blank, when if I'm watching TV and I see companies where they're advertising, certain things, trying to play on the fears of people, I refuse to shop there anymore. I refuse to bank there anymore. I've sent emails out saying, guys, what are you doing? This is not normal. Normal is being able to take your dog for a walk without having to separate the path because you might come 6 feet or within 6 feet of somebody, and I worry about that. And I worry about, the way people are treating each other right now with a lot of disrespect and disdain, all because we're supposed to panic over this horrid disease that has claimed so many lives. And I'm not a denier of the disease. I think we got to clarify that, because the minute you ask questions, people automatically accuse you of being a COVID denier. But I just want to get life back to normal, and I'll do whatever it takes to do that. But how do we move on? How do we, when we're dealing with people and we're dealing with this high tension anxiety and questioning our spirituality, how do we grab it by the short hairs and make things back to normal?
This is where we start to look at the structures of our reality and who runs these systems and begin to question them. Right now, we are going through a major awakening, again, as we mentioned earlier, and this is the very beginning point of a transition that will last a long time. This is just the beginning. Okay, so what that means is that we have to start deciding, what we want to do, because the people that are running a lot of these things, that are in the control, in the know, in the say of these things, there's a reason for all of these things. The more that we pay attention to the companies that benefit from these moves that are occurring right now, the more we'll know where not to go, as you mentioned. And I'm exactly the same. To me, it's unacceptable that every other commercial on TV is a pharmaceutical company, or they're pushing out these agendas constantly to the public. So we really need to turn off the things that are continuing to tell us this. Defund those programs, defund those organizations that are pushing these agendas. And unfortunately, when you start following the money trails, you begin to notice that it's a big web of interconnected companies that all work together in, moving a lot of these things around. So in my opinion, the next step is for us to become more independent, self-dependent when it comes to health, when it comes to well-being, when it comes to the things that we need in our life, and to pull away from that technology that is harmful, that is spreading out another kind of virus, which is disinformation and constant ideas of separation and compartmentalization, because that's the best way. Again, when you make people feel isolated, helpless, lonely, confused, of course it's easy to control you. Of course it's easy to tell you what to do or what not to do. So we need to pull away from all of that, reconnect with ourselves, and go back to nature, go back to what's organic. This is where that division that I was talking about earlier is beginning. And we're going to see a lot of people going further down the road of causing more division, and other people that are trying to go into this unity consciousness, unity kind of community creating. So within all of those things, we have to experience this moment of turmoil for the next couple of years. It is going to be that way. It's going to be a lot of things are breaking apart in order for something new to come out of it. The question is, what do we want to come out of it? And that's where we need to get very clear by educating ourselves, who's doing what and why it's happening, asking those questions. There's a lot of countries around the world that are rising up and speaking up and saying, we will not do that. Why isn't that happening in America? I don't see that a lot in America, because there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear in America where we're afraid to speak up. We're afraid to go out. We're afraid that there's going to be this. We're talking about guns. We're talking about the police and all of these things that are violence. And that's a form of control. If you keep telling people that if you speak up, you're going to be punished, nobody's going to want to speak up, right? So we have to, in a sense, it's not a matter of creating riots or going out to create violence. Absolutely not. But we have to intelligently move the masses in a way that is organically going towards something that is pushing away from these agendas that are toxic.
I think it's about showing each other love too.
Absolutely.
Instead of showing disdain, we have to show more love. We have to get back to having that inner peace. I don't know how many times over the last year where I've had so many people, come up to me and say, well, this is awkward. We're supposed to shake hands right now, or we're supposed to have a hug right now, and we can't.
Right.
I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I saw you, if the border opens up and I come down to a conference, the first thing I'm doing when I see you is I'm giving you a big hug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We got to get back to that. And
Right.
I realize it's all dependent on what happens. There's a lot of sick people out there. Okay. And I don't mean sick in the head. I'm saying because of what's happening with the pandemic, but I look at people in my community where right now I think we have no cases. No cases. Vancouver's an entirely different phenomena down there. Entirely different phenomena. Okay. I'm saying on a Canadian sense. And yet our area still full panicked. Still full panicked. Because apparently what's where the greater population is in Vancouver, we all have to suffer for what's happening in that Vancouver area. And I don't know. Way too many questions. Way too many questions. But, we have to get over it. I get worked up over it. Many people get worked up over it. You see it every day on social media. Whether they're disease deniers, whether they're full on, I can't wait to get my 45th shot.
Mm-hmm. I know. You know what? And I think the key word that you said there, Dave, is love, and that love starts with us. If we can feel love for ourselves, we compassionately will not get worked up over these things and start feeling this anger and frustration towards what's happening, but manage ourselves, because within our body is everyone. We are interconnected so profoundly that when we raise our vibration, when we come up to a higher state, the people around us begin to come up, and things can change. We can affect more than we believe, actually, because we're connected. So we just have to know how that works, get educated in the way that works. You can learn that either through a scientific way, or you can learn it through a spiritual way, through meditation. The information and the wisdom of the body is there for you. It's available. So we just have to get to know how to use that.
We have just over 1 minute left with you tonight, Geraldine. And every time you're on, this show goes by way too fast. Way too fast. But let everybody know what you're going to be up to and where they could find you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Please do check out my website if you'd like to get a hypnotherapy with me or a DNA reprogramming at GeraldineOrozco.com. And if you'd like to come to my support group, hybridmother.com, if you're an experiencer of phenomena, of interdimensional or extraterrestrial phenomena, you can meet us there. I'll be speaking at Disclosure Camp coming up in September. September. No, is that August? In June. Check out my website for the dates, and also the Higher Self Expo in June, at the end of June, and in September, I'm hosting my own conference, WisdomCon. So check that out, and I really hope to connect with you all. Thank you so much for being here. As always, it's such a pleasure, and all my love. Thank you, Dave.
Absolutely. Geraldine Orozco, everybody, BayAreaMeditation.com, GeraldineOrozco.com, and of course, SpacedOutRadio.com. She is one of the best. That's why I love her, and we keep bringing her on each and every month for the spiritual you. Coming up next, we have the Magic 8 Ball, the Newswire, the Thought of the Day, a jam-packed final half hour coming up on Spaced Out Radio. Beautiful show.
All right, David, thank you so much. So much fun, and shout out to everyone that tuned in.
Yes. Yes, you got a lot of love tonight. People finally
guys.
loved seeing you on camera. And your hair looks great. Great.
So much fun. You too. It was so good to see you.
Hey, one quick question or one quick comment before I let you go. Ben from UFO Garage, Ben and Joe, I think you met them in San Francisco with us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They want to bring you on their show, number one.
Oh, that's cool.
And number two, Ben is putting together the T-shirt part of the website, because that's what he does for a living, is web development. So with that, yes, the other day when I was asking for the password, I was able to find the password, and I gave him access to help you out and to get the store up and going. And if there's anything that you need him to work on with you, he's more than willing to help you out. He doesn't want to step on your toes or anything that you built so far, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's great. Maybe I'll connect with him through email then. I think I did see that email with them, and I think we did set something up. So let me connect with him, and then I can talk. Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Cool. You are the best. You are the best, and much love to you. I'll let you go and get some R&R in while I got to warm up the Magic 8 Ball to make sure it's all ready for some predictions.
Yes, have fun. Bye.
All right.
Much love.
Much
Good
love,
night.
my dear. Take care. Geraldine Orozco, everyone. Geraldine Orozco. Yes, we love her around here. We do. How awesome is she? Honestly. How awesome is she? I can hear my dog breathing. Gee whiz, Doug. All right, make sure that you got your questions in capital letters in the chat rooms. All right, so that way we can warm up the Magic 8 Ball. I'm warming it up right now. You got about 2 minutes before you got to start putting your questions out there. Don't put them up now, because then I have to pause the chat room. Excuse me. And then I can't see anything. Warming it up. Warming it up. I think my dog ripped one. Yep. Yeah, he did. That's not nice. That's not nice at all. The Michael Leger, if you meet aliens, you make sure that when they take you for a ride, you come pick me up. Oh, terrible times. I will blame the dog. I will totally blame the dog. And I don't have a giraffe. I'd like a giraffe, but I don't have a giraffe. No, that's terrible. It's starting to subside right now. That was sour. It's terrible. AZB Boy, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Appreciate you coming on in. I want to say a big thank you to Bigfoot Rob, Vinster, Anya, Catfish times 3, Andrew, Ozzy Ange, Luana, Ed, and Science Bob for the amazing super chats tonight. Thank you so much for your love and support of Spaced Out Radio. Thank you to all of our brand new subscribers. I checked it out tonight. We're at 11,379. Getting close to 11,400. Getting close to 11,400. Let's do it. We're going to get this going here in about 20 seconds, and we're going to make sure that we have a good time here. So stick with us, because we're going to get going here. Like 5 seconds. I'm going to pause now. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us on in. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. I'm glad to be here. Are you? Oh, it's that time once again where we're going to bring out the old Magic 8 Ball. We got some questions if you're in one of our chat rooms during the show, where we are going to get into the Magic 8 Ball to see what kind of predictions that it can make for our listeners tonight. We're going to start off with the Michael Leger. The Michael Leger. And he is asking, will I ever meet aliens? Will I ever meet aliens? Well, let's check it out here, Michael. Magic 8 Ball says, ask again later. Probably not right now, Michael. Probably not right now, because they're just not there, my friend. They're just not there for you. You don't have all them aliens just yet. You don't have them all. All right. Let us move on here as we continue on with the Magic 8 Ball. We really do appreciate. By the way, AZB Boy, welcome to our chat room for the first time. We really do appreciate that. All right. Other questions coming from our audience. Let's see here. We got none. We don't have any questions. All right. Vinny is asking, here we go. Vinny is asking, did Paul McCartney actually die in 1968? Big conspiracy about that, whether or not it's Paul or Fall. Here we go. The answer is, you have my pity, Vinny. You have my pity, which means that the Magic 8 Ball feels sorry for you for asking such an obtuse question. Yes, Vin, I apologize for having to use the word obtuse and your name in the same sentence, but apparently the Magic 8 Ball wanted me to. It does not agree that Paul McCartney died in 1968. He's still alive. Joe in Joe's Maine, he's got aliens in California. Joe is asking, will Dave get abducted by aliens this week? All clear, which means nope, not happening. No, I'm not getting any aliens this week. None at all. So thank you, Joe, for your question. Carol is wondering, Magic 8 Ball, should I share, not Dave, but Carol share her Bigfoot story? Carol, I think you should. I think you should. But you know what? I'm just not the guy for that. You know, this is the Magic 8 Ball show here. So let's see. Come on. Infinitely yes. Infinitely yes is what you are going to do. You definitely have to talk about your Bigfoot story. All right? All right, Mr. Catfish is asking, will I be able to get back with my ex? Love question here, Magic 8 Ball. A love question. Will there be a mended heart relationship here? Out of fuel, try again later. Don't push her right now. Here's my, I'll put my counseling hat on for a second. Don't try to push her right now. All right? She's got the song I Will Survive going on in her head right now. Don't try to push her. Let her come back, and eventually she will. That's why we're out of fuel right now. We're trying too hard. Don't try so hard. It will happen. Down in Australia, Ozzy is asking, my mom tuned in today for the first time. Will she tune in to Spaced Out Radio again tomorrow? Well, you still haven't let me know how tomorrow is looking, because you're in the future. You should be able to tell me. Living in Australia, you're 15 hours different from me. So right now, it's well into the afternoon for you. I'm curious what you're making for dinner. Please let me know, Ozzy. But the Magic 8 Ball says, what do you say there, Magic 8 Ball? My sources say no. No, Mom's not tuning in tomorrow. Darn it. All right, Bigfoot Rob is asking, will Vinny in our chat room ever get to meet Geraldine? The answer is out of fuel, try again later. Try again later. Okay, come on, Magic 8 Ball. You're not doing too well tonight. So I don't think Vinny is going to get to meet Geraldine anytime soon. We'll ask that one in about a month. How about that? Fast Hemi is wondering, does Vinny have a wooden leg? Well, let's find out if Vinny has a wooden leg. Magic 8 Ball? Ask again later. So in other words, he hasn't been decapitated just yet. Sorry. I know that feels bad. Vinny's probably happy because he still has 2 good legs. But we must ask the question. All right. Mr. Catfish wants to know, will I get back with my ex who got abducted? Okay, so we're adding to the question now. At first it was about getting back with the ex, now about, her abduction stories. Let's find out. Batteries are low. Yeah, same answer, man. Got to let her come back. Maybe sing her a song. And not one of that Timmy T's One More Try or anything Kenny G. You don't want any of that. You don't want to bring that into your household. Nothing country either. You got to hit her hard with some Steelheart. Never Let You Go. That's the one. That's the winner right there. If you can hit that high-pitched sound, you're a winner each and every time. Steelhearts, Never Let You Go. Always wins. Jenny is asking, will the men in black visit Dave in the future? I'm calling it a no because they haven't yet. Intel looks good. Uh-oh. Maybe I should prepare for the men in black. Andrew wants to know, Magic 8 Ball, does Geraldine say no to marrying Vinny? Because Vinny has a little bit of a crush on Geraldine. Vinny's in our chat room. Out of fuel, try again later. That's a big, big no right there. D. Swiger is asking, am I going to get a new cat, Magic 8 Ball? Well, if you got a good home to get a new cat, for sure. My suggestion is go to the pound and get a couple of older cats, maybe 7, 8 years old. You know, they're still going to be around for 8, 10 years. Give them a good home. They deserve it. The answer is, out of fuel, try again later. So right now, the Magic 8 Ball is saying, no, maybe now's not the time. But soon, go to the pound. Bomber is asking, Magic 8 Ball, were dinosaurs real? Signs point to yes. Signs point to yes. All right. Thank you there, Bomber. Let's go to the Michael Leger. Will Dave become someone's pet? Not today, Sheriff. Not today. Typical Watch is asking, will I ever see a ghost? Let's see what the Magic 8 Ball says. Reply hazy, try again. Aren't ghosts hazy? So I think you got to keep looking. They're there. That's my opinion of it all. All right. Vinny wants to know, will Bomber in the chat room marry him if he asks? Well, she is Canadian and can't cross the border right now. You may rely on it. You guys are going to be a couple. Magic 8 Ball doesn't lie. Susan, will Dawn be able to herd her goats to Joe's? Infinitely, yes. Yes, those goats will go from Alberta to California. All right, let's see what else we got here. Because we are running out of time. Let's see here. Sandra, who is quite intuitive, she wants to know, did she see the ghost of Heath Ledger on her porch? Not today, Sheriff. Not today. It was a bad impersonation of a ghost, because you got a crush on Heath Ledger still. He was handsome. Fantastic hair. Antonio, will I continue to be abducted in my life? Abducted by aliens, that is. Not today, Sheriff. Well, at least you have today off, my friend. At least you have today off. That's all that matters. All right, we're going to put the Magic 8 Ball away for the night because we got to get to the news. Thank you to everybody participating with your questions. Here we go. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR News Wire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the demonic. The dog from hell has a new home. Prancer, a Chihuahua described as a chunky doll in a dog's body, or a Chucky doll, that is, in a dog's body, in a hilarious social media post that went viral, was adopted by a Connecticut woman who related to the Pooch's story. I had a dog that I adopted probably about 7 years ago, and I raised him from a puppy, and he was a Chihuahua Jack Russell Terrier mix. He had a lot of the same qualities as Prancer, Ariel said. He was even a little neurotic, and he barked a lot and didn't work well with other people or animals. I spent a lot of time working with him and understanding his personality and learning about myself through him. Tiffany Fortuna, the New Jersey woman who authored the Facebook post, was brutally honest about the chaotic pooch. I've tried for the last several months to post this dog up for adoption and made him sound palatable, she wrote. The problem is he's just not. There is not a very big market for neurotic, man-hating, animal-hating, children-hating dogs that look like gremlins. But I have to believe there's someone out there for Prancer because I am tired, and so is my family. Every day we live in the grips of this demonic Chihuahua hellscape he has created in our home. Davis said she came across Prancer's adoption ad on Facebook and was intrigued. She then decided to contact the Second Chance Pet Adoption League. I read the article, I connected to it, and I was like, you know what? Why not? I'll just send him an email. What's the worst that could happen? Davis, who surrendered her 2 dogs, Doodle and Blue, when she went to rehab for marijuana addiction a few years back. Oh, the poor girl. Really? You go to rehab for marijuana addiction? Was at a point in her life where she could take care of a pet again. I'm a single woman. I'm a single lesbian. I live with another woman. I don't have any men in my life. I work in a women's rehab. I don't have any other animals. It just felt like a perfect match, and the rest is history. An inmate in Missouri will spend the next decade behind bars for using an intimate body part as a holster for a loaded handgun. Amy Willite, pleaded guilty to smuggling a .22 caliber pistol into Boone County Jail inside her vagina on Valentine's Day. Court documents revealed Willite snuck the weapon in her private parts, and it wasn't discovered during a pat-down and strip search. Jail guards only learned about the gun after finding it 17 days later when it turned up wrapped in plastic along with the woman's other possessions. The report noted it's believed Willite smuggled the 10-centimeter gun past guards in a body cavity. Willite claims she was holding the gun for someone else. Really? Cops think that after being jailed, Willite removed the gun from her vaginal cavity and hid it with her personal belongings. The 39-year-old inmate was arrested February 14th on drug and weapons charges. She pleaded guilty to those charges too and was ordered to serve 5 years for each. All of her sentence will run concurrently. Gun in the vagina. Who would have thought? Would you ever be able to spend years alone on a massive ship? Some people are natural hermits who enjoy spending most of their lives in complete solitude, but for most, being left utterly alone would be a special kind of hell. For one man, that hell has come to an end. On April 22nd, Syrian sailor Mohammed Aisha was finally allowed to leave an abandoned ship on which he had spent the last 4 years completely alone. After the cargo ship MV Aman was detained by Egyptian port authorities in 2017, Aisha became its unwitting guardian. Due to various circumstances, he ended up being left all by himself on the floating hulk. On his way home to the Cairo airport, Aisha could only describe the feelings in 2 words: relief, joy, he said. He later gave the news a slightly longer statement, saying, "How do I feel? Like I finally got out of prison. I am finally going to be rejoined with my family, and I'm going to see them again." Over the long years on the ship, Aisha battled both physical and mental health issues brought on by his complete isolation from the outside. He had no company, no sanitation, no power, nothing. But in the end, he pulled through. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations. Moments into Sean Birdsad's working shift at a Domino's pizza restaurant, his first customer whipped out a gun. The perpetrator rounded the corner of the counter and demanded $100,000 and a white limousine that could serve as a getaway car, and he insisted on talking to the company's owner about it directly. 5 hours, 2 hostages, and a standoff with police later, the 1989 incident has become an example of a bizarre misunderstanding gone outrageously wrong. The subject, the devilish buck-toothed, rabbit-eared mascot of Domino's, which coincidentally shared the gunman's last name. Kenneth Lamar Noyd, 22, was having an ongoing feud in his mind with the owner of Domino's Pizza about the Noyd commercials. Chambly, Georgia Police Sergeant Mark Bender has said. Apparently he thinks they're aimed at him. Now the Noyd, the red-clad claymation character, not the real person, has returned to Domino's commercials at nearly 3 decades after the multinational chain phased him out. The company announced it last week. The Noyd's rebound, which will include appearances in the Crash Bandicoot gaming series, coincides with a Domino's marketing push around its testing of driverless cars, meaning to streamline pizza delivery and putting a bunch of young kids out of work for robots. The Noid is Domino's oldest and most famous villain, and the pizza delivery testing we're doing with Neuro's autonomous vehicles is exactly the kind of technology innovation that would provoke the Noid to return. Kathy Turnbull of Domino's Vice President of Advertisement said in a statement, however, after 35 years of practice in avoiding the Noid, we're pretty confident we know how to defeat it. You know, the only thing I'm going to say about that is they put a lot of kids out of work. They really did put a lot of kids out of work. Don't like that. That's not cool at all. I mean, I don't know. I realize we're going autonomous and it's saving money in the long run. But, you know, these fast food joints like pizza places or McDonald's or Taco Bell or whatever, this is what they need to do. This is how we get kids into the workforce, learning how to take responsibility with a job. Pushing them out for robots, not good, people. Not good. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. If ET contact is imminent, what are you doing or what would you do to prepare? Melinda, brush my teeth. Drew, just look in the mirror. Corrine, stock up on makeup as I'm sure they'll need it. Magnus, stockpile as much beer, hot sauce, and ramen noodles as humanly possible. Rob, stock up on hot sauce and Jack Daniels. Merle, COVID taught us that toilet paper, paper towel, and Lysol wipes could run the world's currency. Gail, there most likely will be a run on grocery stores, and I doubt people will be civil. Therefore, I would make sure I had enough basic foods to last until we could see how things were going to go. Nikki, stockpile essentials because people will likely go nuts in the States because look at what ridiculous buying they did during the pandemic. Barry, ET contact is an imminent. Like I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be 6'4" tall with blue eyes. Maybe you will, Barry. There's always hope. Catherine, survival, not from them, but from us. Joe, same thing that I do every day. Sit on my porch and sharpen my pointy sticks. Kate, I'd invite them to my house. If they understood me and followed, I'd make them a fine cup of coffee and offer some pie a la mode to go along with it. Oh, that's very nice. Peter, I'd invite them over for dinner and stock up on lots of canned foods, toothpaste, and dog food. Mike, okay, we can start asking all of our audience now. One more, let's go to Dave Altman. Get her done, man. Byron, I tell them people all about them. I've been doing that on my own disclosure since I was 10. Marty, it's already happened and it is happening. Will, serve them a big mess of green chili chicken stew and stand the way back. Thank you to everybody who participated in the Thought of the Day. We appreciate it. Thank you to Captain Shirk for the news. And, of course, everybody playing along with the Magic 8 Ball. And to Geraldine Orozco for the Spiritual You. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, Rev Radio, and Derek and the Snarkettes dancing their way at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing your evening with us, because together, my friends,
make a mistake, we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.